All right. Welcome back to the Christian Muslim Coalition podcast. This is Harris. He's Muslim. I'm Matt. I'm Christian. And today we're going to be addressing the topic. And today we're going to be addressing the topic of male loneliness.
Coming up.
Let's get it.
Let's get it, bro.
You want to start or I'll start?
I'll go ahead and kick it off just because of my age, mostly.
Good point.
And what I mean by that is the vast majority of men that I know in their 30s and even 40s who got divorced, whether it was them initiating it or their wife or ex wife, more often than not, it's the wife that initiates divorce, more often than not, from what I've seen. And these dudes are just insanely lonely. Like, insanely lonely. And they always wonder, they're like, well, why can't I find a good woman? What's wrong with me? Why does no one like me? Why is it when I go on a date that they think that I'm just a moron? The crazy reality from my perspective is that more often than not, it's a simple answer. It's because you don't look like you work out, you don't have a stable income, you don't smell good at all, and your haircut you get once every 4 months from a barber that's like 87 years old and can barely hold his scissors. It seems more simple to me, and the reason why I wanted to bring this kind of to the coalition, so to speak, was because you being 19, I wondered if you had a totally different perspective on it, or if the perspective was the same, and if so, like how much similar is it? Why is it men can't find good women, or is it that men are not good men anymore? Where are we at?
So, in the area of finding a good one, right?
Mhm.
You had made a really good point. Is the guys they say, "Oh, where are all the good women? Why can't I get one? Why can't I keep one? When I
Mhm.
want to get one?" And it's the point that they put no effort into themselves.
Mhm.
I mean, let's be honest. Your average guy, especially in America, he's the exact shape of a pear with legs. They're out of shape.
You said a pair?
Yeah, a pear. It's fat at the bottom, and it gets a little smaller up top, right?
Sheesh.
No arms or chest.
Oh, he's not wrong.
And
He's not wrong.
and in that they don't take care of their body. They don't push themselves to do better things with their time, have better income. Their friend circle is horrible. If I'm surrounded by horrible people, how am I going to find a great one, right? And they look in the wrong places. So let's start with looking in the wrong places, right? A lot of guys. So as we all know, the divorce rate is about 50%.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest drivers of that is people say, "Oh, I want to find a wife. Let me look on Tinder, Bumble, all these places." I've heard people say Facebook dating. What are those used for? Those are used for hookup culture. Let's be honest. Tinder is not let me find a wife. It's let me find somebody I can have a one night stand with or can be with a couple times. And people look and they say, "Where are all the good women?" I can tell you what, they're not on the dating apps. If you want a good woman, you know, make high quality friends as people, that you can be friends with. And then, maybe there's a girl who in that friend group who you like, she has a lot of qualities you have a lot of respect for each other. You start talking, go from there. But the first part of that is people look in the wrong places. If you want a good girl, maybe look in church. Or, join a small group, see if there's a single girl in there, or you guys have a lot in common. Start talking as friends, see how you're doing. And don't go out and just be hooking up people and be like, "Oh, this girl's good in bed. I'd love to marry her." Really? That's
Seems like the basis of any relationship, right?
that's what a lot of people do, and you're basing, a small part of it that is, first of all, that should be you should find out what she's like in bed after you get married to her. And while it's important to find someone that you're attracted to, you shouldn't say, "Okay, this is not throwing shade on anybody." It's a pretty good idea to find somebody that you enjoy looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's, everybody has people out there that they think are attractive. So you go to the right area. Let's say you find a girl at church, okay? Does she, you know, have similar things common? Are you attracted to her? Another thing is what are your worldview? What's your worldview, right? I hear people, I've talked to people, they say, oh, well, this, I can't stay with any of these girls. And I thought, okay, were you looking for them? Looking at dating apps. Have you, what do you ask them about? And they're kind of prioritizing sex. If I find a girl, right, I believe in God. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. If I find a girl who says, there's no point in any of this, I'm an atheist, we came from nothing for no reason, we will just disappear. How is that marriage going to last? The, the, the foundation is going to be your worldview. If you can't match on that, move on. It's not going to work. So look in the right places, find the right worldview, and before you even start looking, you got to improve yourself, right? You got to be, I think a great place to start is a gym. Get jacked. Don't have this giant belly that just kind of runs down. You can't even find your belt because your belly devoured it. That's a girl doesn't want to find a guy that is 3 times her weight. Let's be honest. If now, I mean, you're a big boy, that's an exception because you're super jacked. But a girl doesn't want a guy who's this fat, slobbering mess.
Yeah, there's a difference between big, strong, and big, fat AF.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Skinny fat, I'll tell you what, girls say they want a dad bod, they're lying to you. Yeah. They say they want a dad bod because, from what I've heard from people, is, oh, I want a dad bod. Because then, even if he's trying to cheat on you, what you expect, he'll have a harder time. Mm-hmm. So, improve your body. And in doing that, the discipline it takes to be in great shape will bleed into the different areas of your life. Like, oh, I'm more disciplined in my diet to be in great shape. I'll be more disciplined at work. I'll work on my friend circle because if you're going to be disciplined and working hard, that's going to drive away lazy people. And you're going to say, no, why would I do that? Why would I go out on the weekend and be clubbing, partying, and just trash my head for the next couple of days because I'm hungover? So, look in the right places, work on yourself before you start looking, get your friend group, get jacked, find a girl that you're not like, oh, man, I just want to have sex with her. Find a girl that you agree on with your worldview, right? And I feel like doing all those, having all those in check, really helps to find the right girl. And then on top of that, I feel like those also contribute to divorce rates. You have any comments on that?
Divorce rates are too damn high. Remember that meme back in the day? The rent is too damn high. Right now, the divorce rate in this country is, supposedly from what I've read, is 50%. Some people 50%. Are saying higher. Some people say it's higher. Some people say it's lower. So I feel like a good place to meet probably is the 50%. Because what I'm reading is some people are saying 68, some people are saying 42. But at some point, anything at 50 or higher, or even just below that, doesn't seem to be a good way to go, regardless of how you look at it.
The divorce rate should be in the single digits.
Yeah.
50% is disgusting. It's because those people don't do any of those things.
Yeah.
And on top of that, let's say you get married, you have kids. Mm-hmm. Something that I've seen and I've heard from divorced people, and I've seen in people and couples who really struggle. And I'm not, hating on anybody who does this. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm saying they need to fix this. As people get married, they say, oh, my favorite person in the world, I love my wife. And they have a kid. Push you aside. I love this kid, right?
Yeah.
They're my everything. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, this is very cultural, is people center their marriage on the kids. They say, oh, for the kids, they get in a fight and they say, oh, we can't bring her for the kids.
Yeah.
You know what? The second your kids move out, you're done.
Yeah.
Because your marriage is based on them.
Yeah.
And something that I'm very thankful that my parents did is they set a good example of, we love you kids so much. My dad say, I have 3 siblings, 2 parents, it's 5 people that are in that family. Now, I have my family of 3, my wife and my daughter's going to be born before too long. Mm-hmm. and he'd say, "You guys are my favorite people in the world after your mom," right?
Mm.
And when I was little, I'd be like, "What does he mean by that?" Well, she's his favorite, and that's good. She should be, should be God, your family, and in your family, your wife, and your children.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, if you love your wife and you have a beautiful marriage, your children will 100% benefit from that. A beautiful, great marriage, how does that hurt children?
Not really.
Yeah. But a marriage where the parent just focuses on the child, they're going to be fighting with their spouse all the time. There's going to be problems there. I'm not saying don't focus on your kids. I'm saying have the wife first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of this where people get married, they have kids. The kids are the center of the world, and kids are amazing. And it's going to be difficult to keep this correct. But people get married, they have the kids, and then one or two of the kids move out, and they are fighting a lot. You know, whether it's the kids are the center of the home, leads to them not putting the spouses high, and I feel like that also could lead to a lot of cheating. A lot of divorces come from people. They talk to other people before they're sleeping with other people, and I feel like a really big leader for that is they get guy and girl get married, they have kids, they focus on the kids. Then guess what happens? You don't maintain your marriage.
Yeah.
The marriage falls apart, the family fall apart, and in not maintaining that marriage and focusing on the kids, both people focus on the kids, they're not getting what they need from each other.
Yeah.
So what they do, they look elsewhere.
If your marriage falls apart in your 40s or 50s, which can happen a lot,
That's a lot of where it happens.
dude, to rebound as a man or a woman in your 40s to try and date and trying to figure out what that person's favorite color is and what's your favorite genre of music and what's your favorite movie, that in and of itself doesn't seem appealing, bro. Like,
I mean, that leads to a lot of male depression, and
so much,
people
man.
get divorced,
so much,
and they can't handle, be on their own because, man, we're made to be together. I know there are very few, people that are exceptions to this. They say, I don't feel called to find a partner. Those people make great missionaries. Sometimes couples make great missionaries, but people do this and they say, I need a partner, and they can't find one, or they find people and they just sleep with them, move on, sleep with them, move on. It's like the sticker. You put a sticker on a shirt, pull it off, you could be a little black from this shirt on. Put the next shirt a little more. Before you know it, 3, 4 shirts later, it'll fall off on its own. And they do that, or they get, whether it's divorce or some other way they're separated, that leads to a lot of people, how you say, self-expiring.
Yeah.
Because they didn't prioritize their spouse, and then it all falls apart, and they realize how big of a part in their life they had.
Yeah, because men getting divorced in their later stages in life, more often than not, is a massive detriment. It's not a positive. There are a few examples I can point out that I know guys personally who got divorced in their 50s. They got on TRT, they started lifting weights, they got in better shape, and to be quite frank with you, bro, their life got better. But that's such a minuscule amount. Your chances of being a better man divorced at 50 are minuscule. It doesn't seem worth the shot. It seems better just to prioritize finding the right person initially. But the problem you have is that if you don't know how to find the right person and you're not doing the things you need to do to find the right person, and again, I'm not going to fat shame anybody. I'm 29% body fat. I'm not going to body shame anybody. But I also bench 450 pounds plus. I can overhead press 300 plus. I'm just saying. So if I was what I weigh now, 350, and I couldn't do any of that, and I breathe hard just walking up 2 flights of stairs, then there's an issue there. Because it's like you said at the beginning, no woman wants a guy that's deathly out of shape. Now, can some of these deathly out of shape, humongous, obese, whale type men find a woman? Yeah, you could. Is their chances higher if they were in somewhat better shape? or at least look like they work out.
Well, here's the thing with that. So yes, you can't find a woman if you're out of shape.
Mhm.
You know, you're not working on bettering yourself. Honestly, that's most people.
Mhm.
But let's say I don't care for my body.
Mhm.
How am I going to care for her? If I don't
Mhm.
care about the thing, my body, I'm not saying that it's the most important thing to me,
It is
but let's
important
say
though.
when you're sick, you give up anything to not be sick. If you're super overweight, you've made yourself permanently sick.
Yeah.
Bro, you can't function.
Yeah.
And when you walk in a room, let's say I'm walking to a business meeting or something, and I'm looking jacked and my clothes fit me great,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes.
Mhm.
Whether it's to the men in that room for a business meeting or walk in, you know, and whether it's some girl sees you, she's like, oh, he's disciplined.
Yep.
He works on himself.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if let's say you are jacked and you get married and you lose, you just turn this fat mess. It's your job to protect and provide. How are you going to provide if you're shaped like a pool ball, bro?
Facts. You know. It's funny you brought up the dad bod, and I thought that was interesting. If you ask 50 women what they think about dad bods, the perception is they're gonna say they want a guy with a dad bod. Here's how you differentiate it. You ask what that woman means by a dad bod. That's the differentiator right there, lads. Because to some women, a dad bod is a little bit of muscle with some strength, looking decent. To some women, a dad bod is, for some reason, really skinny arms, really inhaled pigeon chest, little belly on the bottom and a double chin and a scraggly beard. That sounds awful, but that's her definition of a dad bod. The problem with the dad bod theory is that there's too broad a spectrum. I watched a video, I want to say like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I should have sent it to you, where this guy goes on the street and he asks these women what they think of particular body types. This guy showed these two chicks
Was it the
C
Chris
bump,
Bumps? The Chris Bumps said on
C
the bulk
bump
versus the
on the
cut.
bulk, bro. He showed them C bump on a bulk. This I'm not gonna say this woman said I like a dad bod like that,
That's my dream body, and you call that a dad bod. That's the problem
bro.
with it. It's the definition.
She said C bum has a dad bod. Chris Bumstead, 5 times Mr. Olympia, classic physique, can't be beaten. The problem is the definition.
He's still got a great six pack there. It's just like a little puffy.
Bro,
That's the problem. Is
I was in awe. My bad. No, go ahead back. I was in shock. C bum has a dad bod.
That's the problem. Is especially nowadays, all our
Hmm.
definitions get changed, right? Whether it's you're changing a recession so that you don't scare people when your country's seriously in a recession. We'll get in that later, but is
Video on that coming on the recession. Don't worry.
is we have such a broad spectrum of what's the definition of the dad bod. Are people saying I'm a dad bod, you're a dad bod? Do they want just some guy who's shaped like a potato? Do they want a little bit puffy Chris Bumstead? Those are all miles apart.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that people get so lost on is, the definitions.
Yeah. Justin, how long has that been going so far?
19.
Damn, already? I'm gonna get going.
That's great.
So, what you just said there, listen, I mean, I fuck with all of it, man, don't get me wrong. It's just so shocking that so many men buy into have the dad bod. Have, I want to say it was Rich Piana. It was another influencer who's a gym influencer, and no, it was Dexter Jackson, 2008 Mr. Olympia bodybuilder Dexter Jackson. He said on an interview, because the guy asked him, "Oh, have women ever said you're too big? Have women ever said you're too muscular?" He said, "Yeah, they'll say that, but then behind the closed doors, they're like, hey, can I feel your arms?" Because especially, it's insane to me that having some form of muscle is somewhat unique. I think we take it for granted being in the gym. Because I'll see you, your arms look insane, shoulders are broad, you look legitimately like insane.
Appreciate that.
That's not common. It's not common, bro.
It
It's not
should be.
common for you to be like looking in shape. It's not common that you don't have a high body fat percentage and like your face does this and you've got 17 chins. That's not the norm.
No.
The norm is have a belly, don't have too much muscular definition because we're being told that women don't like muscles. That's not true, bro.
I'll tell you what, culture will tell you, oh, women don't want, you know, a lot of women don't want sebum. That's true, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you that. That's
But
fair.
you take the dad bod, you take the average guy, and women say, oh, I want a dad bod.
Mm-hmm.
If you get into the definition of a dad bod, okay, guy who's pudgy, his arms are small, he's incapable of things.
Yeah,
No
so
woman
incapable.
was going to say, please give me a man who is
Right.
incapable of average things, who struggles to move. And, if somebody comes and steals my purse at night, he tries to chase him down, but he gets two steps and trips over himself because he's.
Or he does hold on to the bag. Next thing you know, the muggle overtakes you, and now you've just been stabbed in front of your wife.
But dude, women want a capable man, and
100%.
that's
100%. Because we're talking, I wanted to touch on female loneliness as well. Like, I don't want to say the standards are too high because on the internet, so far from what I've been seeing, there's this odd perception that the majority of women expect a dude to make six figures, have a six pack, and
6 inches, 6 foot tall.
yeah, I actually don't think that's the norm, bro. To be quite honest with you, if you
The
actually
average
ask
guy or the average
uh,
expectation.
the average expectation, the vast majority of women I've ever talked to, because I've never lived in Miami, I've never lived in LA, and I've never lived in New York City or Atlanta, Georgia. But the vast majority of women I've ever talked to who kept telling me that they're lonely, I'm like, well, what are your expectations? Like, what are you trying to get? Don't get this twisted. Obviously, they would love a multi-millionaire, yacht owning, apartment complex investing type dude. That's obviously, fair. But it's not unfair to want crazy things. But their general standard expectation is someone who can carry their own weight, money wise. More often than not, if you can bring at least half of the bills to the table, that normally is okay. I don't want the internet getting lost in this. I think that's why most guys feel like they can't even approach women because they're only making, I say only, 65 to 85 grand a year. Like, dude, to get into the six-figure earning club in the US, I want to say you're in like the top 15% of earners. So it's low. It's hard to get there.
Especially depending on age.
hundred
Like
percent, hundred
like the
percent.
top five I think it's the top 1% of men up to 65, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is top 1%.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, 500 grand. But here's the thing: a lot of these guys who are 65, they've paid off their house, they got their 401k, which at this point I feel like is a joke, but back when it wasn't. That's the top 1% of people that level.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have this perception of, oh, I need a man with all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it, I don't know if you've seen TikTok or Instagram. You go up to women, they say, okay, what would you want a man 6 figure, 6 foot tall,
Yep.
this ethnicity, and they look at it and they're like, oh yeah, that's not much expectation. I'm not saying don't have high standards.
Yeah, of course not.
But the average woman, it's like 90% of women want this man in the 0.05% of
100%.
population.
100%.
Now, that's a two-sided thing as well, because that's saying, okay, they all want this small percentage of men. At the same time, when people hear that, they think, okay, I don't need to work to be in that small percentage of men. Like, I'll tell you what, I plan to be worth 9 figures, and I have a six pack, and I'm blessed to be over 6 foot, but getting into that, I'm not there yet, and my wife loves me. However, a lot of people take that and say, I don't need to push myself one inch knee lower with expectations. I think we need to have realistic expectations for each other. At the same time, okay, this is what I want to look for. Say, I'm going to push myself to be the top 1% top, 0.5% in all those realms,
Mm-hmm.
which might be difficult because some people focus fully on money. Great, you're a billionaire, and your relationships are trash. Any of your male friends just want you for money, and any female friends want you because they can say, "Oh, I slept with a billionaire," or you get divorced. They marry you, get divorced.
Okay. So then, what is the answer, bro? Like, what do like? Let's pretend we're talking to a hall of 250,000 men. Screw it, right? We're gonna go
Okay.
into a dreamland. There's 250,000 men. All of them are lonely. They haven't had the look of a woman. You know what I'm saying? They haven't had a woman look at them in the
Do
last
we have an
like three.
age?
Let's age range them between. Screw it, man. Let's just say between 21 and 42.
21, 42.
Or
Okay.
21, 41. Screw it. Yeah, let's just say 21 to 41. They haven't even had a woman look at them in the last year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
What is the answer?
And they're
What do they
looking
do?
they're looking for a wife because I
Yeah,
don't.
why not? Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
because
Yeah,
I don't believe the Bible says sex is for inside of marriage, right?
mm-hmm.
So if somebody asks me, oh, how do I get hooked up to somebody?
Right.
I'm not going to answer that. I don't have the answer for that. I don't support that.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's say we have all these guys looking for a wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you make? The average guy, there's a lot of guys out there. I was at a fast food restaurant. I'm not saying those jobs are terrible,
Right.
but I think those are great beginner jobs.
So,
This guy, he goes and asks for a job there.
mm-hmm.
He's, I don't know, let's say 44. A lot of guys, they look for the minimum, the easy. Like our generation's got really lazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think starting fast food is great because you get to realize the world kind of sucks, right? Get
Great.
experience there, get experience with people. A lot of guys, so let's attack on the income,
Mm-hmm.
they don't make an effort to be high income. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that you are a bad person if you don't make $600,000, but
yeah, right.
if you have drive, you can go out there
Mm-hmm.
and you can find a sales job, whether it's selling cars, life insurance, whatever. If you work hard at that and you build a skill set, not just go out there and be all cocky, oh, look at me, build a skill set and go to the job market. Sales and marketing are those are great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are very important to grow a business. Become great at sales, you can make a lot of money doing that. You know, he set the record. Andy Elliott made what $750,000 in
Yeah.
1 year on a W-2.
On a W-2, yeah. That was when I heard that. That was insane. I sold cars, dude. Do you know how hard that is to do?
That's selling cars. Now, I'm not saying that that's an expectation because he broke the record.
Yeah.
But let's say you do, less than a third of that. You're $200,000. That's a lot of money. So go build a skill. Go out there, go out in the market, find someone that needs your skill set that can benefit. Find a job. Also, commission, and then work very hard. Get paid for what you provide, not for your hour.
Okay.
Then you look at your average guy; they are a sloppy, fat mess, right? And so what they need to do is they need to get in shape.
Mm-hmm.
They need to lose that fat and get jacked. I tell you what, no woman dreams of having a skinny fat guy. A guy who's fat and also scrawny at the same time.
They do not.
It's
I mean, if they do, then good on them. But majority of women don't. I can't imagine guys who go out to nightclubs to meet women because I do Uber as well, right?
Yep.
The amount of guys I meet that are skinny fat that are surprised that they couldn't pull. You know what pulling is, right?
like get somebody hook up with you.
I didn't know if it was a US term or not. I know in the UK it's a pretty big term. You go out to try and pull. Most of them don't pull, and they are wondering why. And I'm dreadfully honest to drunk people because I feel like they can handle it. And also, that's the real them. They're drunk. They're gonna be the real them.
That's
So I'm
reality.
like, bro, well, let's just be real. I had two guys get in the Uber. I picked them up. They got in. I was like, guys, how's the night? How was the night? Was it good? They were like, man, it was okay, but we didn't get any women. Blah blah. I'm not going to use the actual term they said because my mother listens to this. And I was like, they were like, man, what do you think? I was like, do you want me to be honest, boys? They were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, well, number one, you look like you got a haircut 8 months ago. Number two, you have no muscular definition. I have a 17-year-old little brother. who pretty much has more muscle definition than you, and you guys are in your late 20s.
Oh, in your late
Nice.
20s, there's no excuse to not
No,
be this ferocious,
no,
jacked in shape
100%.
guy.
And then last but not least, I was like, neither one of you smelled like anything more than a $50 cologne. Gentlemen, I don't know why this is such a thing in the US. Maybe it's a US thing. Maybe it's just because I'm in Kansas. I don't know. I don't ever smell expensive colognes out here. And what I mean by that is I use one called Bulgari Black. I also use Paco Rabanne 1 million. 1 million is not overly expensive, but it smells real good. You also have to get something that works with the oils in your skin and blah, blah, blah. But the point being that smelling good can literally be the difference between, oh, it's a guy, and, oh my God, who was that? He smells so good. Smelling good can literally be a quarter of your battle. So if you don't smell good, you have absolutely zero muscle, your haircut's unfresh, and then on top of all that, you don't even make no money.
Well,
What do you expect to happen, man? Like, why would you? Before I get sidetracked, would you be okay with a female relative in your house dating a guy who doesn't make anything, who doesn't can't even hold himself up?
Well, no, because
No,
so
right?
you talk like my daughter in the future.
I don't want to bring daughter into this because I feel like that's a bit too close to home. But let's say your cousin, let's say a female cousin of yours who's 21 years old, who wants to find a husband, and she comes to you and says, Matt, you're wise. I met Jackson, right? Let's call him Jackson for talking sake.
Okay.
And Jackson's also 21 years old.
We're not talking about our camera guy.
No, no, no.
Just a random guy. Random
not the guy who shot my wedding video. Who, if you want a wedding video done in Kansas, you look him up. Not that guy.
Just a random name.
A random guy named Jackson.
Okay.
Jackson's also 21, and she's like, well, he looks good. He's cool. He's nice. Treats me really well.
Smells good.
Smells good. But he works as a barista and he makes $8.29 an hour, and we want to move in together and get married next week.
So, what I'm saying is based on the Bible, and the Bible's very clear on this.
Okay, I didn't see
this
it go
is
this
going
way,
to
but okay.
freak some people out, and it's true.
Might freak
There
me out.
is, you what?
Might freak me out.
There's a place in the Bible where it says, you're a man, you have a family. If you fail to provide, you're worse than an unbeliever. It's like I don't remember if it said you're worse than an unbeliever or it'd be better if you weren't born. It's like
Damn.
It's very bad. It's a man's job is to protect and provide.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on women that make money. That's great, good for them. If you cannot provide for yourself, and someone else, you're not ready to get married because I believe personally that the best setup, and I found nothing that is against this, and it's very difficult, especially for some people, and depending on where you are. The man makes the money, he provides, and the woman, is at home. It's especially with homeschooling the kids, I found is really good, especially when they're teaching kids to, have sex with each other and just be all that garbage. We all heard, we've seen the little books they have in the kindergartners just showing each other. Anyhow, I'm not going to get into that, but it talks about income. And I'm going to pull this up because I'm going to have, what the Bible says directly.
Okay, so you pull that up, but it's a fair assessment that you shouldn't be getting married when you're not making something at least. Because my thing always has been that if you can bring at least half to the table, at least be able to cover half the bill. So if you're going to go rent a 1-bedroom apartment with your significant other, can you at least pay half the rent? At least? Like at the bare freaking minimum, man. Because if you can't even do that, then what hope do you have, dude? Do you know there's dudes out here paying half on a first date?
Pay half?
Bro.
I'm sorry, it's the man's supposed to protect and provide.
Did you know?
Provide half.
Did you know? No, that's fair. I'll give you that. But did you know there's men this day and age that don't pay full on the first date? Did you know that?
That's right away saying, I make money, but I'm going to need to be dependent on you.
That's not even saying you make money, dog, bro.
Some.
Who doesn't pay on the first date? Bro, you're 19 years old, right? I'm 32. Were you born and raised in Kansas?
Yes, sir.
I was born and raised in Glasgow, right?
Okay.
That's different ends of the world. In Glasgow, when you take a lassie out, you pay on the first date. Is it same thing here? Should be you
Dude,
pay
I pay on every date.
even better. So I can't. This is the modern male. I'm gonna pay half on the first date, bro. That threw me for a loop. The amount of lassies I've met in my lifetime that are like in the US and even in the UK, bro, it's now a thing where they're like, yeah, I went on this date with this guy. It went so great. We connected. His favorite color is yellow, so is mine. Ha ha he, lol. And then they're like, yeah, but when we went to go get the bill, he wanted to go half on it. Half on the first date? You've just proven
Don't
yourself.
ever go on a date with him again.
I don't know how to emphasize this without sounding like an arsehole, right? You go on the first date as the man you pay, no matter how you look at it, whatever else. If she does the whole fake thing of, oh, let me get my card, tell her put it away. Even if it's fake, it doesn't matter. First date, you pay for it. That's the standard. No ifs, ands, buts.
Even
Then
if,
that's it.
even if somehow it's your first date and she makes more than you, it's your
Mm-hmm.
job to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the verse pulled it up. I use openbible.info. It's great. You type in, what does the Bible say about X, Y, Z, and it pulls up to 100 verses about it. So 1 Timothy 5:8, and this is an ESV, says, "But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith, and is worse than an unbeliever." Now, there's
People are not
also,
going to like that
yeah, well, people aren't gonna like it, but
because
sometimes they like the truth.
I want to pull up the verse in the Quran too that says something very, very similar. Your job is to protect and provide as the man. It's not the woman's job to go out and make money. Now, if she wants to, go ahead. By all means, go work. But that's not her job. And like I said, I wish I could pull up the exact verse too. But it is mental that people people want to liberalize religion. It's not possible because it's black and white in the text. So unless you're just altering the context for your own sake, which people do, you're not really
Which,
doing right by
if
God.
you try to change what the Bible says, you're just lying and just taking advantage of God's reputation to try to
Right,
leverage what you think.
right. So it's interesting, man, that most men can't provide, right? One of the biggest problems for male loneliness. How much of it, in your opinion, right, is that women just expect too much nowadays in 2023? Is there too high an expectation for real?
I think that in part of it there is a high expectation, but I still believe that most of it's on men because
Hmm.
they're out of shape. They don't make an effort with their money. The paying, pay halvesies. First of all, that's unacceptable. Period. Then with money, you get married and people talk about their money and her money. I think that's wrong. We share a bank account. I bring in the money. She's at home. She's gonna raise the kids. I think if you're sharing that, that's
Mm-hmm.
also showing that either a lack of dependency from her, because yeah, this is people are gonna hate this. It's still the truth. Women should, your wife should be able to depend on you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
should be protector, provider. You should bring in more than is needed,
Mm-hmm.
and then give what you don't need. They do that. They don't respect that fact. They have, she brings in the money and then she spends it all, which shows a lack of discipline on her part. And then he brings in the money and then it goes to bills. So they don't respect each other in that area. And on top of that, the fat, out of shape, overweight guys, or they're, you know, maybe they're in okay shape, but they eat like trash, so they function horribly. So their body is unkept, coating hair. When you talk to them, it kind of smells like an old dumpster talking to you.
Yep.
Their teeth don't look good, and they've never had a haircut, or at least that's what it looks like. They don't make an effort to make good money, and then when a lot of guys you talk to them, they don't sound intelligent Whether
Mm.
it's, you know, people don't like to hear this,
Mm.
whether you can do something about it or not. A slur makes you sound less intelligent. Making crude jokes makes you sound less intelligent. I believe that, if you're just cussing all over the place, that makes you sound less intelligent. So, on top of all that stuff, they their vocabulary, the way they talk, how they talk, who they talk to, how they talk about them, is just it's at a low level. Guys have very limited vocabulary, and half of it's sex jokes.
Yeah.
And when a woman talks to you or overhears you talking, they hear you on the phone, hear what you're doing, they shouldn't say, "Wow, he has 28 word vocabulary and 25 more cuss words." They want a guy who's sharp.
Yeah.
They want a guy not who is, "Oh, I'm so smart. I'm so much smarter than my wife."
Yeah, arrogance
It's
doesn't help you.
no,
Arrogance doesn't
it's
help
so damaging, and you should be serving it, right?
you. Mhm.
And so you need to bring to the table, take care of your body, you make an effort. I'm not saying that every guy should be making $1 million a year.
Mhm.
That's a horrible expectation. However, you should be shooting for it. Find a morally good way to make money so you're not just taking advantage of people. And most people might say, "Oh, we'll just trade crypto."
The
Find
crypto
a way.
dorks. I hate the crypto dorks. I'll be honest. I hate the crypto dorks. The
It's not
ones that
stable.
it's
It's
not.
not reliable.
It's not.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, go be a copywriter. I think that's great. Go be, do other stuff. Find a stable income that brings more than is needed.
Mhm.
Be in good shape.
Mhm.
Respect for yourself.
Mhm.
Respect for her. Bring in more than she needs. Have a matching worldview. So look in the right areas. Be smart. And people say, "Oh my goodness, that's a big list." Dude, your life's going to be so much better.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, surround yourself with good people. So
Thanks.
if I have, a friend group of people who are, let's be honest, losers, a lot of people out there are losers, how am I going to find a woman, let's say I want to be a winner, and I want to find a woman who's a winner and will have a beautiful marriage. Since when do you see a group of losers, the winners out there?
Mhm.
If you want to attract someone, you need to have the qualities they're attracted to. A millionaire does not say, "Man, I would just love to go hang out with some guys in an alley." They say, "What are they looking for?" They say, "I want to be around people who have qualities that I value." If you want a high value one, you need to make yourself a high value man. Look in the right places, have the right qualities in yourself.
Right. How much time are we running on, Jackson?
43.
That's
Do
fine.
you have any
Let's wrap it up.
thoughts on that? Anything else?
Want to do some last thoughts?
I think along with worldview, this might trigger people. That's awesome. You need to have honestly matching political views because I'm I wouldn't call myself a Republican because there's a lot that brings into that. I'm further on the right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, "Oh, everybody's terrible." You know what? I plan to vote for Trump.
Mhm.
Let's be honest. If I have those worldviews and I'm thinking, I want to live out in the country somewhere, make money, and have like no taxes or next to no taxes, and my wife's saying, "Live in the city. Kids are raised by the government and they're sucking each other off." How in the world are you gonna have functional marriage? You got to have the right view and be high quality people. That's my last thought.
So, male loneliness in general is such an epidemic in this day and age. We said a lot in the last few minutes, but to just end it on this note, gentlemen, if you're not even financially stable, I don't think you should even be dating. If you're not financially stable, you should not even be in the dating market. And again, I think both of us can agree. I'm not saying go out and make millions. I'm not even saying make hundreds of thousands, bro. If you do good, that's what I want to do. That's what he wants to do. Our guy Jackson, who has a wedding videography business, that's what he wants to do. But if you can bring like at least a stable income to the household, and your wife does want to work, by all means, I'll say do it. But there's more than just the money. Is my point. You have to take care of yourself physically. You have to look attractive. Like, bro, no matter how we want to swing things, if you don't look attractive to you or your spouse, really it's not going to last. What's going to happen is her work husband, Steven, is going to tell her one day that she looks spectacular because she's trying, making an effort. She's going to the gym, and you're just sitting there on the couch eating your donuts and watching Desperate Housewives. Because that's what, little bitch ass motherfuckers do. Sorry for the swearing, but it is what it is. But
I want to have a comment on that,
go for it.
which is that, you know, you mentioned, her work husband, Steve, whoever, right? Is people, when they don't prioritize their spouse, I'm a man, I have my wife, I don't need female friends.
Facts.
What can I get in a
Facts.
female friend I can't get my wife?
Facts.
Attention? Then that means that my wife and I do not have an appropriate relationship at this moment.
Yeah.
We need to fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
people touch a lot on women shouldn't have male friends. They touch on that a lot. Equally as important as there's no reason for a guy to have a bunch of female friends.
dude,
There's no reason, bro. I see a lot of it on Instagram. Steve Harvey gets a lot of flack for that actually, because he openly said on his show, "I don't believe my wife should have male friends." The problem is that he didn't then touch on the other side of it, which is there's also no reason for him to have female friends.
No.
There's no reason.
I can get everything I need in my woman.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's not giving me what I need, then guess what? I'm a big boy. I'm going to go talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, hey, I feel like we need to work on this, that, XYZ.
You're big as fuck, to be fair.
Thank you. And, we'll work on that. I don't need anything. There's nothing in this world that I need from a woman that my wife cannot provide for me.
Facts.
There's nothing that she needs from a man that I cannot provide for her. I have my circle of men around me.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of them. Jackson's one of them. I got my brother, my dad, other guys.
Your dad is super cool, by the way.
I don't need a female friend. Dude, we gotta have
Shout out Randy, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And people, they say, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with guys. There's nothing wrong with having female friends." There is, because then you're looking for stuff outside of your wife.
Yeah.
I have my male friends. She has her female friends. If we have a couple over, she's friends with the girl. I'm friends with the guy. Or I'm respectful and kind to the female as well.
Yeah, of course.
I don't need her to be my friend. The couples are friends with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If I'm somewhere that my wife isn't and that my friend isn't, but his wife's at, the only reason is there is because I ran into, we saw each other at the store. There's no reason to have, for a man to have female friends outside his wife. And I'm not saying you can't be friends with your mom or your sister or stuff like that.
And be nice to your co-workers also.
Yeah, I'm not saying just walk around being
don't be
a belligerent.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah, I'm not saying you need to be that.
No.
But you don't need to go out and seek and say, "Oh, I need, other women." That's inappropriate.
Yeah, let's say, like the work wife. I hate that title. So
disgusting.
But let's say you're that kind of guy who has a work wife. You probably don't go to the gym first of all because you're small. And then if you're nice to your coworkers who are female, that's fine. No one's saying be an arsehole to them. What we're saying is there's absolutely no reason for you and Lisa to go have lunch after work. For what? For what? Go have lunch with your wife.
Go have lunch with your wife.
You know what I'm
Rely
saying?
on her. Talk to her about things that a girl cannot do.
Yeah. So that's it. Just last thing to wrap things up. I'm going to say this last thing. Gentlemen, make sure you get your haircuts every 2 weeks, please. Go out and buy a cologne that costs at least $120 because it's going to benefit you. Go to the gym at least 3-4 times a week. Build some sort of muscle. I'm not saying be Mr. Olympia. I'm not saying be classic physique. I'm not saying be those guys who wear board shorts and don't train legs, bro. I'm not saying be those guys. Just have some form of muscle. Look like you try. It's not that hard, bro. Get your haircut, smell good, try. The money, it can be a make or break, bro, but at least you want to shoot for about 85K a year. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's no reason to say, "Oh, I can only make." Now, if you're 15 years old, all right, there's not an expectation for you to make six figures. But if you are 40 years old and you have never even made a serious effort to make, good money, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you need to work on yourself, build your skills, and go and provide. skills to someone who needs them.
But
It's not,
it's not hard. It's really not
go
hard.
do stuff on the side if you need to.
Yeah. We're regular dudes who make money.
Yeah, and
We don't have any subscribers yet.
we got like 17.
Oh, well, there is
Big
that.
balls.
Cool.
But let's say you have your job and you don't want to leave it yet, but you need some income now. Go do a side hustle, dude. If you're a copywriter, you can make 3-4 grand a month per client writing emails.
Yep.
It's not hard to go make money on the side.
Yeah.
And people have this mindset of, I don't know. Quit making excuses and just go do it.
Thanks.
It's not hard to better yourself, and you will see. It will, better.
The results are immeasurable, to be quite honest.
Yeah. If you want a high quality woman, be a high quality man.
Facts. Scroll this habit, nigga. How long was that, Jackson?